Hi everybody, welcome back to Dandelion Cottage and the 12 Days of Christmas. So today is, I think it's number 9. Let me look. Yes. Wow. I can't believe that this has been 9 days already. Well, if you've been following along, you know that I've been doing a different project for every day for the past 8 days. And I'm going to continue on until the 12th day, and then I'm going to have a BOGO sale, which is a buy one get one free sale, and I'm going to be featuring my retired Christmas stamp sets. So you'll want to check back for that. On this page, under groups, I previously said units, it's actually groups. You will find the BOGO items, and you can peruse them and see what's on there and see if there's something that you like. And there are some brief guidelines, but I'll be adding more as we get closer to the date. But today I've got a really pretty Christmas card to make for you using the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. And this is one that I've had for a little while. I used it a little bit last year. I absolutely loved it. What makes it so spectacular for me is the coordinating paper that comes with it. So let me show you what that looks like. This is a designer series paper, which means that it's a specialty paper. At least in this case it's a specialty paper because it has some copper foiling on it. And these colors are deep, rich blues and greens with all these different very beautiful, elaborate designs. So this is the shiny side, and I think you can see there's a spectacular array of designs. And then there are also designs on the other side, and these are equally beautiful. Just amazing, just incredible paper. And when I saw that it was going to be carried over this year, I was really excited because not only is it nice for your cards and your tags and all of that kind of stuff, it's absolutely perfect for box making, which you know I love. So I'm going to show you just an easy card for you to make that doesn't require a lot of stamping. In this case, we're going to let the paper do all the work because it's just so beautiful. I did go ahead and make some die cuts with the copper foil. So, so they look like this. So I'm using very vanilla cardstock and envelopes. And then I used the stitched rectangles to get these beautiful intricate dies, and I used the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine for that. But you don't have to. I mean, you can. So, for instance, here's an example of a copper foil piece that was just cut on the trimmer. But the difference, you know, just those little subtle differences, I think, add so much to your cards and projects. So if you're wondering what to get for Christmas for yourself this year, you might want to get yourself a cut and emboss machine. Okay, and the other thing I want to mention, oh, by the way, here is what those dies look like. These are the rectangle stitch dies. You get 13 of them, and you get these long ones, these ones that are proportioned to match our card front proportions, and this beautiful little rectangular die, which I like quite a lot. But the other thing I want to mention about this collection is you can get these coordinating punches. And these are 2 different shapes of ornaments, And if you look at the stamps, you see you've got these two different shapes, and these punches punch them out perfectly. So I'll be showing you that in a minute. So let me clear the area here and we'll get started. I don't have a huge space to work here, so I'm always moving things around. Okay, so here we go. I have some scraps of paper here left over from cards that I've previously made. And what I want to do is I want to use this as a background for one of the cards. And look at the other side of that. I love that color. I mean, it just makes it so hard to choose what to use. The possibilities are endless with this. And this paper, by the way, it's spectacular for Christmas, but this does not have to be just Christmas. You could use this easily year-round for any number of occasions. All right, so I'm just going to begin by cutting a piece of this down to let me see. I want to make sure I get a nice piece here. So let's just do this. What was that? That was 3 3/4. All right, so this is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I may change my mind on that. So, so before I go any further, let me start with my card base. That's the best way to get your measurements squared away here. So let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out is that when you're cutting these rectangles out for a border, you're most likely going to be covering up part of it with your paper, you see. And so you can easily take an insert out from the middle that you're not going to be seeing and use this for another project. So that's pretty much what I've done here. Okay, so here is one frame, and I'm just thinking, do I want to put something like this behind there? That would be pretty fun. I'm gonna punch out some ornaments just so I can play around. So here is the longer of the two, and I'm going to use that on this beautiful blue. This is Night of Navy scrap. So there's one. And then with the smaller punch, I'm going to punch out one in this pretty peacock paper, and another one with this beautiful green. So let's see, I like this corner. Looks pretty already, and I haven't even done anything yet. but I do want to use this paper. So I'm going to cut a different size. Let me try this at 3.5. So I want plenty of that copper to show because it's so pretty. And let's try 4 3/4 and see what that does for us. Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to use this just as the outer frame. Actually, this is the one I want. Let's see, does this work on here? Not quite. If I use it on here, what I'm looking at is this stitching. So I'm going to cut one more out, just a little bit bigger. I'll use that for that one. And get my trimmer out one more time. And this one's going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. Is that what this one was? Maybe it's a 6. Yeah, okay, so actually it is. Let's get that exact, because it's actually a slightly different measurement. So it's going to be, I can't see here with the camera in the way, but it's going to be let's try 4 7/8. Perfect. Okay, so it's 3.5 by 4 7/8. I was just a tiny bit off before. So let's get this glued down. There we go. And this one. That's what I'm looking for. Beautiful. I don't know if you can see how glimmery this is. Look at that. That's the Gleaming. That's the Gleaming part of the name of this suite. I'm going to burnish that down well. Okay, and now the next thing I want to do is start to arrange my ornaments. And I'm going to be using dimensionals to pop these up. These are my little ones. Let's see if I can find the bigger ones. Hang on a minute, folks. I think I need a new pack. been making so many cards the last couple of weeks that I am going through the dimensionals like crazy. There we go. All right. Now before I get going with this, I do want to put a sentiment on the inside of the card. So for that, I'm going to use the pretty peacock ink, and I'm going to do Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. And get that mounted up on my block. There we go. And let's make sure this is right side up. There we go. That color is so great. It's fun to be able to use some of these alternate colors for Christmas. As much as I love the red and the green, it's pretty spectacular to see the pretty peacock and the night of navy with some of these wonderful papers. Okay, so now I'm going to grab those dimensionals and I'm going to just put them on the back of my ornaments. This big one could use 2. And I have some additional embellishments here that coordinate. So there are these beautiful star designer elements. These are in copper, so those go nicely with the paper. And then I have the iridescent pearls, which look really pretty with these beautiful peacock kind of colors. In addition to that, I have the copper ribbon, and this is gorgeous. So I'm going to be using some of that with this card. But also, there is the, what was this called? This is the reversible ribbon, and this has the pretty peacock and also the beautiful greens in here that coordinate with this paper so well. So this is another option for a different card that, that I may or may not use later. So for this one though, I want to add some of this copper ribbon. So I'm going to use my hole punch, and this is just a this is an 1/8 of an inch hole punch, and I'm going to go ahead on each of these little ornaments and put a hole in there at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to thread it through each of them. There we go. I'm going to cut myself a little length so I can play with it. And next I'm going to get my ornaments placed on the card. So I'm going to start with this big one. Put this just off center. And then I'll take this one below it. Put that. I'm going to let this overlap slightly. go. And then this last one, put right up here. Okay. I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack on the ribbon. And now I've got my glue dots. If you don't have glue dots, I recommend that you have them so that they're ready to go. So I'm just going to fold this over to make it a little bit narrower, and then I'm going to use that. I'm probably going to get my head in here. Let me zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and so I'm taking this glue dot and I'm just going to put that on the back of my ribbon, and I'm going to loop that around and let that go off the card like that. I think I need another glue dot. Okay, so the same thing at this end. There we go. All right, now I want this to kind of loop around. So I'm just going to make my adjustments. That looks pretty good. And you want to make sure that you get your glue dot on the right side of the ribbon. So you may have to just flip it around a little bit till it's how you want it. And then place that so it makes a nice shape. Bring that down a little bit. There we go. And let this swoop over to the other side. We want lots of swoopage going on here to give it that really nice shape. Flip that over. There we go. And then I want to get this so that it goes just on the border of the card. There we go. I'm just going to snip off the excess. Do better on that one. There we go. All right. Now I'm not done yet. We have this beautiful little Merry Christmas stamp in the set here, so I'm going to use that. And getting out my very vanilla, so I've got a scrap of paper here. I'm also getting out my foam pad because I want to make sure I get a really nice impression with this. I'm going to ink that up really well. And there we go. So there's our Merry Christmas in the pretty peacock ink. And I'm going to cut that out on the trimmer so I get a nice neat edge. Just making sure that's straight. Okay, maybe a little bit, tiny bit off on this side. There we go. And again, I'm going to be using the dimensionals. And I think that, let's see, I'm going to use the little dimensionals. These are the mini dimensionals. They're slightly smaller. Put 3 of them on there. Bring my card back into the camera here and add my Merry Christmas. And finally, I want to use these beautiful iridescent pearls and just place a couple of those around. So I'll put one down here, another one here, and one more here. So there's our card. So we did do a little bit of stamping, but really it's the punching and the embellishments, let me zoom you out slightly, that really carry this card. So this is a great example of how you can use your ribbons and punch up your, or pop up your punch work onto dimensionals to give your card some real dimension and added interest. So let me see. Looking for my envelope here, and I want to add something to the flap. So I'm going to use this little ornament. There we go. And I'll add it inside as well. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that gave you some ideas. This particular set, the Christmas Gleaming, I really think is one of the most beautiful Christmas sets available. I will be posting all of these supplies below after I finish the video. So check back later if you're interested in recreating any of these projects, or if I've inspired you to do something else. And if you do something, please share it with me. I'd love to see what you do. So thank you very much. Stay well, stay healthy, and stay creative. And I will see you again tomorrow at 12 noon.